And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Decoupaging with Michelle. I've been playing around with a few things, so I wanted to share this. I'm super excited about this, you guys. So I've started trying doing this, and I'm crackling it. This is so much fun, and it just adds a little extra something special when you're decoupaging. So I don't know, I'll try to get that kind of close to the camera, and I'm going to show you how to get this crackle effect, and then decoupage a picture of this. I just thought this was a really adorable decoration to make for the 4th of July. As we go along, I'll tell you what I use and where I got my products. So this star, I start with the star here. Get these from the Dollar Tree. I think everyone who goes there has seen some sort of shape. And here is how they come, just a plain old silver. So we're going to start with that. And there's a couple different steps in this one. So for this, the first thing you do is you kind of choose the color of the underlay that you want to show through with your paint. So I'm doing a patriotic one. So I chose to do red. I thought about doing a blue. I thought like a royal blue would be really cool. But I went ahead and went with red. That's what I had on hand. So for this bottom, this first layer of paint, I'm just using this Waverly chalk paint. This is crimson, the color crimson. I think I got this at Walmart, you guys. And this doesn't have to be perfect or pretty. This is just kind of an underlayer. I'm going to put a little piece of, I'll put an old envelope here. I'm going to use it as my protective method against for my cover there. So I'm just going to put this on there and kind of dab this. I'm going to do it too thick. And I use the sponge. I get these sponges from the Dollar Tree. And I just really like to use these. Oops, I actually put probably a little too much on there. I especially like when I use these on a top coat. So you'll see I'll use a sponge when I do the top coat of this project as well. Because it leaves out brush marks. I'm not a fan of brush marks. If you've watched a couple of my videos, I think that you'll probably recognize that as well. So I'm just going to put this on here and cover this. Just doesn't have to be a thick layer. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's going to be quite a bit of stuff that goes on top of this. This is really just that base layer of color for your accent color, whatever you want to accent. So that's all I do for that one. And I let this star dry. I usually like to have my stuff dry, for about 24 hours or so. That tends to work really well. So once this dry, I'm speeding through the process, you guys. So I'll just lay this over here. I have a drying area here in my craft room. And I'm going to let that dry. So this is what the dried version looks like. And it's nice and dry. This has been for a day or so. So same color. And you can see there's some imperfections in that paint. And that's absolutely perfect. No problem with that. So the next step we're going to do to get the crackle effect. I want to have a couple things ready. So the first thing I'm going to use is Elmer's glue. And I'm just going to put a layer of this down. And then while that's still wet, I'm going to put down my layer of white paint. Now you can use whatever color of top paint you want. I like this chalk paint. I tend to always use the color linen white for my projects. It just works really well for what I like and how I like my projects to turn out. So I think that works really well. So I'm going to apply this Elmer's glue on here. And you really want to put a pretty liberal amount on here, guys. I probably need to pick some more Elmer's glue up. Mine's getting kind of low. There we go. And I just kind of squirt it on. Oops. I'm making an absolute mess here, you guys. No worries. So you just want to put a liberal amount. I just use this brush. I think I got this brush set from Dollar General. Just brush it on here. You can use a brush. This step, it doesn't matter if you use a brush or a sponge, because these do not show through. So it's not a big deal here. These brush strokes don't show through the paint. I'm going to put some of that back. I said liberal, but boy, I didn't mean that liberal. Okay, so you guys can see that glue there pretty well. I'm going to take it to my edge here. And I'm just kind of rubbing that in. I don't know, I think there's some dry glue on there. Okay, so that's for the glue. And then don't really want that to dry very quickly. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to get my linen chalk paint, and I am going to apply that with a sponge right over this glue. Let me get another sponge here. I use my sponges for all my projects when I do my coats of paint here. Now I use those, like I said, the linen white chalk, Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I store my chalk paint in a glass jar because I use it so much and I use so frequently. Instead of, I can keep my jar, my can sealed, and I just use it's just a lovely Tostito jar, seals up nicely, and that's what I store my paint in. I usually tend to refill it or use another jar every week or so. I have to refill that, so it just kind of saves my can, so I can keep my can lid nice and clean and nice and sealed. So I just have that linen paint, and I just dipped it in there on my sponge, and I'm just kind of just putting it on here. I'm just gonna dab it down here. So I decided to make a video today. As many of you know, if you've watched previous videos, I'm a psychotherapist by nature. That's my day job. And sometimes, in this decoupaging and crafting is my self-care. It's how I keep my mental side healthy. So I'm in the process of moving to a larger facility. I've been working on this project for about 1.5 years, and so I was super stressed today, and I just came home and said I need to make some more crafts tonight. So I decided to do this video and show you how to do this crackle, because I'm super excited about this. So right now we have the base layer of the red, we have the glue, we have the white linen chalk paint over it. Now I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm just going to dry it. And what you're going to see is, as the heat hits it and it dries, it then the glue begins to crackle, and then the paint crackles and the red shows through. I'm going to just do this. This is going to be a little bit of a process here. But it's really, really cool, you guys, when you start watching this. And you can see some of these crackle come through. I think it's the most exciting part of everything. Napkin to blow away here. I don't know if you guys can see those crackling coming through here. The first time I did this, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so amazing, you guys. So the great thing about this is you can control a little bit of the crackle and how much comes through. I tend to put a little bit of a thicker white chalk paint cover on mine. You can put a lighter amount on there and it will crackle even more. I'm going to dry it here just a little bit more. Okay, I think that's all the crackle we're going to get. And a little something was sticking on there, and it kind of whipped up a little bit. So this is kind of how it turns out. I don't know if you guys can see that. Isn't that cool? I just love it. Now, one of the things you do have to be mindful of when you're doing these projects is when you use that heat gun on this metal, it gets very hot. And if you start to see your paint bubble, so I have a paint bubble right there, air bubble underneath there, don't put any more heat on that. You want to let that dry, let that air out, and just keep your eye on that. I'm gonna kind of roll that air bubble out of there. But it's a pretty cool effect, isn't it? So I'm gonna let that dry. Typically, I would let that dry for 24 hours. But I'm gonna decoupage a picture on there, so we'll see how that turns out. I'll show you just some other projects while that's sitting there drying. Some other crackle projects that I did. This was actually my first one. I'm gonna show you here, which turned out really cool. Look at that. It is a shamrock. I think this is absolutely amazing. So this is a cutting board that I got from Hobby Lobby at St. Patrick's Day. I think it was like 40% off for their holiday stuff. So you can see it's just a regular wood board. And then I did the same process. I went ahead and filled the little hole up. It had a hole where there was a strap. So I filled that in with some wood filler. And then I did the green underneath. And then I did my first attempt at crackling. I think this turned out really cool. I haven't decided what I'm going to put in the middle of this. I live in the area of the University of Notre Dame. So I think that I might actually put a little bit of a Notre Dame symbol there. Either the shamrock, or the ND, or the leprechaun. So I'm going to work on that one. But I wanted to show you kind of some different colors and how that can... what that looks like when you're doing these things. And I actually did another one. Let me show you another one. I had played around with a couple colors because I was trying to see what I liked. And here, this is another form that I got from the Dollar Tree. It's the big mason jar shape. And I put yellow underneath of it. And then this has some really big crackles. I put a real thin layer of the white paint on this one, and it gave that very big kind of vintage crackle. So these are just some of the projects that I've been working on with the crackle. I just think it's such a cool effect. It just adds a little something different to what we do. So I think at this point what I'm going to do is, again, so normally I would let this dry for a day or so. I'm gonna hit it with the dryer again, but I'm gonna put the decoupage, the design on there. So let me hit this one more time with the dryer real fast. In particular, I was focusing on that mid area because that's what I want to really work on here. Let's see, what brush do I want to use? So next I'm going to actually decoupage on my napkin. So you can see this is what the project, I'm going to decoupage this on. And so what I have is I have these napkins. I got these, I believe I got these from the Christmas tree store. It's always a find when you go there. I always score when I go to the Christmas tree store. And actually this has, this is a half a napkin, so it had 3 stars. There are 2 different sizes. And then the other half of it had the other 3 stars. So I already cut one out. I just went ahead and cut the star out along the edges. I want this to have very defined edges when I put it on. And then I removed the ply. This is I think a double ply napkin. So I'm gonna adhere this to the center here. I'm just laying this out to see exactly how I want to lay that out. What does that look like for me? I want to make sure it's a little even here. Not too far off being centered. And you know, because these are my crafts, I just kind of eyeball it. It looks pretty centered to me. That looks pretty good. So next I'm going to Mod Podge this on. And so I use the matte Mod Podge. You can use whatever style you like. They have, you know, the shiny, they have glitter, you name it, they have it. I like the matte. I think it always turns out really well because I seal all my projects with another product, so I don't want it too shiny when I seal it, or for this part of it. So you know, you should never shake Mod Podge. When we shake Mod Podge, it adds air bubbles, and sometimes that can cause some issues depending on what you're doing. So when we do Mod Podge, you should just roll it back and forth like this, and that gets it rolling around. So I'm going to take a little bit out. Now I'm not going to remove this because I kind of have it laid out where I want it. So I'm actually just going to pick this up and leave my finger on part of it. I'm going to let a little bit of Mod Podge on my brush. Now, the trick to Mod Podging something is not to put too much on. So if you put too much on, it begins to bubble. And so I just put a very little amount underneath of that. And then I'm going to turn this and pick these up and put just a little bit what's left of my brush here. And then I'm going to just put that like that. Now the brush that I'm using is it's a plaid Mod Podge brush, and I think I got these from Michael's. I might even order these from Amazon. So I did mess up. My paint wasn't quite dry. I really should have let that dry for 24 hours before I put that on, but that's okay. So I took a little bit of that white paint off, but you know what? That's okay. It adds character. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry for at least 24 hours, and let that glue dry, let that Mod Podge dry, and then I'm going to seal it. And when I seal it, I seal all my products, all my projects with a product called Duraclear. I like the satin varnish. They have, again, different types of finishes, whatever is your favorite choice, or how you like it to turn out. Use your choice. And this is really nice. This is water resistant. I use this on my jars, on my metal projects, on my wood projects, anything that I use any of the linen paint on, I'll seal it with this, and I always have a really good turnout. So again, let this dry. I don't want to mess with it too much because I know that I can mess that up. And so then one of the things I did for this project is, once it all dried, is I got that same crimson paint, the Waverly paint, and I just went around the edges with the sponge. In fact, I might be able to actually do that now. I still have some of that crimson on my brush here. So I just went around very lightly, as you can see, just very lightly tap those edges. You don't have to do this, you guys. I did this just if my door is white, and so it just, when I hang it on my door, which is where I'm kind of expecting to hang these, the white won't blend into the white of the door. There's a little bit of a red outline, so I can see, just kind of see it. You can, distress it more throughout the project if you really want to do that. For me, I just like to distress the edge here. This is just enough for me. And I want to try to do this, if you can see that. Alrighty. I think that looks pretty good, you guys. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Now again, I'm going to let this dry for at least 24 hours. Let that glue seal up, let the paint dry, and then let the decoupage, the Mod Podge, dry as well. And then once it dries, I'll seal it with my Duraclear. Again, that's what I use, is my Duraclear. And then I'm going to use a ribbon, a creative ribbon. I think this is a ribbon. It's a collection of, I think probably Hobby Lobby ribbon, Dollar Tree ribbon, and then I threw a couple of the string in there as well, and I just hot glued that right on there. Little bit of patriotic stuff, decoration for your house. I might actually take, now that I have 2 of these, I might actually take one to work and hang it in my office for the 4th of July. Just little homemade stuff at work. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this little project. Go out and try it. Practice the crackling. I promise you can't mess up on it. I think the big thing is, make sure that you put your glue on there, put your paint on there, and hit it with the the craft dryer. You can use your hair dryer, whatever you got hot to blow it, just use that. And then you have these really, really cool crackle effects on your projects. I did try this on one of my glass projects. I had one of the vases from the Dollar Tree, and I went ahead and tried to crackle it with a Memorial Day, same theme, Americana theme, and I sold it at a craft show. So I had a lot of feedback, and people really liked to crackle it with something different. So, go out there, you guys, and try it. You can't mess it up. It's just adds something more to your toolbox of fun crafting ideas. If you like this video, you can hit the subscribe button, follow me. I'm going to try to have more videos, a variety of videos of some of the random decoupaging, crafting stuff that I do. And hopefully you enjoy the videos. Love to hear back from you. Any feedback is always welcome, you guys. Take care, and remember, hit the subscribe button.